Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Watch and Roll. If you like these videos, please do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. I promise I put time, research and effort to every single video I make, so you won't only get my opinion about watches, you will also get all the details and information about it. Today we will take a look at this Orient World Diver from the 1960s. Actually, this watch was my grandfather's. He gave it to my father when he was 16 years old, and then my father gave it to me recently. I'd like to mention that the watch seems to be in a very good condition, especially for being such an old watch, and it also looks fantastic. Usually vintage watches look old, but this one looks really good. I'm impressed by how good this watch looks. If somebody tells me that this watch was released in 2019, I would kind of believe it, but there are still some vintage design hints such as a chisel bezel, the lugless cushion case, and the very small hour markers. This is one of the only vintage watches that I think looks very cool despite its age, as I usually think vintage watches are just not for me. Can you believe it's been such a long time and this watch is here with us working with the one-time service? I can't really imagine how many stories and experiences this watch lived, and I'm impressed that I enjoy a vintage watch. I put it on this Barn Silicone Elite strap as the original bracelet seemed to be unresizable. Also, I thought it was a better idea to put it on healthy spring bars to avoid any accidents on such an important watch. You can damage your watch, but damaging your grandfather's watch, that hurts because it's just not replaceable. Alright, so let's get the measurements out of the way. It's a 42mm case. Lug to lug we get an amazing 45mm, and the lug width is an initial 19mm. It is an all polished cushion style case. A polished caseback with a satin section on this nice engraved screw down caseback. On the other side we have a chiseled ring around a slightly domed mineral glass that, if you see, it seems to have a kind of an upside down cup shape showing on the top of the watch. The dial has a great detail. This is a world time function watch, so it has all the cities of the world around the hour markers. And as you rotate the inner bezel with this crown over here, you'll be able to adjust the current time to the hour hand, and that way you will know what's the time in the rest of the world. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, the crown for this function seems to be stuck and it's very hard to turn. I think there might be some gunk inside the watch because it's too old. There's a day and date function that you can change with the crown on the first position, and the date with this button up here. The movement inside is a non-hacking, non-manual wind, automatic caliber, 1942, 21 joules, full balance bridge, 2100-600 vibrations per hour, 40-hour power reserve, and it's currently running at 10 seconds per day. The details on this dial are very crisp. It has a black Sternberg dial that has a certain degree of glossiness, and take a look at the writing texture. It is crisp and the details are very defined. It has an apply logo at the 12 o'clock position, a very small apply hour markers. These 3 stars here are applied, a silver date window frame, an all polished handset with lume on the hour hands and on this bezel section, and guess what, the lume still glows. Overall, I think this is a very solid watch with a very unique design and feeling. It all works perfectly together. Even I don't like busy dials, I think they are good proportions on this one. Things I love about this watch, well, the cushion case, it is just great. If you notice that there's the Seiko SLA 033, that watch also gives this kind of sensation to the watch similar to this one. And the lugless design makes this watch even more wearable for my very small wrist. If you usually watch my videos, you'll know I'll say this. I have the smallest wrist in the watch community unless you're a kid. So if a watch fits me, it will fit you. The next thing I love about this watch is the dome glass, the world time function, even though I can't really use it. I love the handset and the overall proportions of the watch that all together give a certain image and feeling very different from any other watch out there. It is just kind of undescribable. It just works in a certain way. It just gives a certain sensation. This last thing I like about this watch is just that it's an Orient. Orient is a fully integrated brand that is owned by a company that owns Seiko, which is Epson. So sometimes both share technologies, both happen to be completely in-house. This means they produce their own movements and being a fully integrated brand, they produce everything by themselves. Usually Orient have a better quality control than Seiko on the lower end section, and it's just a brand that represents honor, humbleness, and that offers real quality value watches without being pretentious or have any ego. It's also reflected on my grandfather. He was a successful businessman with factories, and he could have bought anything else, but he chose this instead. It's just impressive to me that I would find out my grandfather had a watch from the brand I really like. The things I dislike, well, we have to take in consideration that this is a vintage piece. We can't be unfair and say we wanted hackable, windable, to be a chronometer, etc. So I will not complain about those. Only the hour markers, I think I would prefer a little bigger and lume markers, and that's absolutely all. I wouldn't change anything else, and I accept the watch as it is. We as watch lovers, we usually tend to be very harsh and critical and can't seem to find content with our watches, as we usually find some details we wish were different. And that's good because that drives companies to make better watches. But at the same time, I think it could be healthy for us to learn to accept a watch as it is. We might be able to embrace the enjoyment out of a piece. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. If you enjoyed these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. If you want to comment, go ahead and let me know anything you want to say. Without anything further, I'll see you in the next video.